What's up, mortals? Welcome to another episode of the Media Buffs podcast. This is your antagonist, Matthew, here, joined by the esteemed protagonist, Quentin,
Hello.
and the lovely deuteragonist, Stefano.
Is that supposed to be something like antagonist? What is that?
That's like a secondary protagonist.
Oh, well, I learn something new every day.
Yeah. I took a nap before this, and I'm still tired. That was a mistake, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I stay tired. I feel that. But today, our podcast, the topic is going to be how the internet has changed many different mediums of art. But first, our real life lore dump from Stefano.
So we're gonna do something a little bit different to start off this news section today. We were away due to timing for longer than we normally are, so a lot of stuff happened. Specifically, a lot of smaller stuff like trailers and things. So we're just gonna rapid fire through all the trailers. There was also a Sony press conference recently that we'll talk about all the stuff from as well. So to start things off, there was a trailer, or the first trailer for Matrix Resurrection, which is the Matrix 4. Now, I'm going to start things off by saying I'm not a big fan of any of the Matrix movies. I know a lot of people like the first one, and then other people like the whole series. I don't like any of them personally. This movie looks like John Wick with the Matrix skin over it. But, I mean, the trailer was enough to get me interested, I guess, in, how his girlfriend's alive when she definitely died in the third one. I don't know. I don't really have an opinion, to be honest. What do you guys think?
I mean, I'm a fan of the Matrix, the series. It feels kind of weird to see a fourth one come out because it feels the third felt so, final. But it also feels weird as much as I love Keanu Reeves. Um, and maybe it's been a minute since I've watched the third movie, but his death in that is supposed to be like he sacrificed himself to let the cycle continue again. And from my understanding, the cycle isn't like the same person. It's just the same, someone becomes the balancing of the equation. Uh, so I don't know. It seems kind of weird. That's how I would say I feel. I feel kind of weird about it. Not one way nor the other.
I feel like, from what I've seen in all of the trailers so far, or the one trailer, everything that's inside of it, it seems like they're trying to grab a lot of stuff that people really liked from, obviously, like the first Matrix, and just do a whole bunch of fan service there. And I don't think anything's wrong inherently with fan service, but I don't know. It just feels wrong. Like the original was trying to have some sort of commentary, whether you think that they delivered on it or not. Whereas this, as far as I can tell, they're not trying to show you any of the commentary. They're just like, look at all these set pieces, and so maybe there actually will be something of substance in it, and that'd be great. But from what I'm seeing right now, it is just another blockbuster action movie, which I guess the original Matrix movies were sort of blockbuster action movies that disguise something a little deeper.
I feel like it's hard to show something deeper in a trailer, though.
That's true.
I agree with that, and so I will wait before I make that final judgment. But from what I'm seeing right now, it does just look like they threw a whole bunch of stuff
Yeah,
into it.
the only thing I really gathered from that trailer is that I think the the robots are keeping him alive and ignorant so that he does not become, what was it?
The one,
It was the one again.
the
I think that's
one,
what it
yeah.
is. That is the only thing I have gathered from that trailer. Is that
I gathered that they're not going to have Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah.
I
That's what I
don't
gathered.
know if his character is dead, but Lawrence Fishburne did say that he was not asked to come back.
And that was one thing I like. Of the characters that we're seeing back again. Of course, it at least can make sense that Neo is back. Because it's like he's the one, and
Yeah,
so theoretically, if the cycle happens,
you never technically see him die. It's just his body's there, so theoretically the aliens could have brought him back. The one that's weird is Trinity
aliens.
because Trinity definitely did die.
The alien. I'm sorry. Say that again.
Sorry, robots. I get confused every time. It's either aliens or robots.
Okay.
Isn't that a joke in Ant-Man too? That it's always aliens or robots or something? One of
That's
the
uh Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah,
Yeah,
in Falcon and the Winter
they had a
Soldier.
name for it, and they were like, "Is it like the usuals?"
Wizards, aliens, or robots or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But moving on to the next one, specifically for Quentin, because I know he's very excited about it. There will be a Knights of the Old Republic remake. It is coming out. They advertised it for the PlayStation 5, but from what I hear, it will also be releasing on PC.
The
Rumor
superior console.
rumor is that it's just a temporary thing, and eventually it'll get put on Xbox. But that I don't think has actually been confirmed.
I don't think it's going to be out for a while though. They didn't give any release date, not even a year. So even their trailer wasn't like, "Hey, look at all these characters that are coming back." It was literally one guy.
But it was the guy.
It was the guy, but it wasn't like, "Hey, look at him. Look at Bastila. Look at Karth." No one wants to look at Karth.
I wonder what engine they're gonna use.
I don't know, man. I mean, if they're, it's not Bioware anymore, so it's not going to be the engine that Bioware is using. But I could see them doing something with like Unreal Engine 5 or something.
Oh yeah.
Next, and probably I think the most surprising of the lot of things that was announced at the Sony press conference is that Insomniac is currently working on 2 games. Spider-Man 2, which we all knew they were working on. It looks like it will be with Kraven the Hunter as well as Venom. We were expecting Venom from the end credit scene of Miles Morales as well as the original Spider-Man game. But it seemed like Kraven was narrating the first half of the trailer. Also, it looks like Peter and Miles have new suits. Peter has built-in spider arms to it, so I guess that's canon for the universe instead of just like a random perk reference. But the bigger surprise was that Insomniac is also working on a Wolverine video game, which I'm honestly more interested in than Spider-Man 2. I wouldn't say I'm more excited about it. I'm just saying I'm more interested because we've seen what they can do with Spider-Man, but we haven't seen what they would do with, a character like that. I know Quinn and I were talking about it during the conference. Wolverine has less mobility, so will this be more of a linear game? Will it be an open world game like Spider-Man? How are they going to handle it? So I'm really interested. Insomniac, I think, has really proven themselves with these past couple games, with both of the Spider-Man games. Also, what was the most recent Ratchet and Clank called, Matt? You played it?
Rift Apart.
I've heard really good things about that.
Yeah, it's a good game. That's a really good game. I still need to finish it.
So I think that's gonna be really cool. I'm glad Insomniac is getting a bit more love. I feel like Insomniac is currently has kind of taken Naughty Dog's former position of like the golden boy for PlayStation just because of the amount of content they're putting out.
Yeah, and then the quality and everything. Yeah, it's crazy. I just thought about if they're given the spider legs to Peter Parker, if that's like their way to sort of give incentive for if it's co-op, to give incentive for people to play Peter Parker and not Miles Morales. Because we were talking about that earlier, if Stefano, if you and I played Spider-Man 2 together, and it's co-op, so you get one of us chooses Miles Morales, one of us chooses Peter Parker. Neither of us wants to be Peter Parker,
I mean, I'd choose Peter. I'd choose Peter so you could choose Miles. But if I could choose Miles, I would. You know.
Yeah, and if I was playing with like my brothers or something, then we'd fight over who gets to be Miles.
Oh yeah,
But it
another
looks like
change.
it's sort of an incentive.
Another change that I thought was interesting was that they changed the color of Miles' electricity. Because in the video game, it's yellow, but in this current trailer, it's blue. So I don't know if that's supposed to be distinguishing that because maybe they're gonna put Electro in the game again, so they want to be able to distinguish who has what electricity. That's the only theory I had for why they might have changed it. Yeah, I mean, everyone's talking about is it going to be co-op because you see a sequence in the trailer where both of them are fighting together. People are also throwing around a kind of Arkham Knight-esque thing where you fight with your allies in certain side missions. Other people are throwing around the, I guess, Assassin's Creed Syndicate or GTA 5 thing where you switch between characters on the fly. So
I thought it'd be more like Arkham. where you have two characters and there's able to do like finishers between them because they even show a finisher, you know. So I think that that's where they're going with it rather than co-op. I think it'd be very hard to co-op in a game like that.
I agree. That's honestly my main concern for the Suicide Squad game that Rocksteady's making, where it's always co-op. So it's either you or a bunch of uh, AI. That's my concern because I feel like it'd be really hard, especially considering how the narrative of Miles and Spider-Man went, to have to constantly account for they are always together, you know, in order for the co-op game to function as a co-op game. So I feel like it won't be proper co-op. At least I don't think the story will be because I feel like that would be too much and too limiting for them.
They take like a page from Sly Cooper's book and let you just, you know, when you're at headquarters, you get to choose which Spider-Man you're going to be. Certain missions are certain Spider-Man.
Yeah, they're just gonna be sitting around a round table, and
Yeah.
it's just gonna be them looking at you like, "Oh, do you want Miles Morales? Oh, do you want Peter Parker? Oh, how about Mary Jane?"
No one will choose Mary Jane. Everyone hated those missions. I'm like the only person on this earth who did not mind the normal Miles Morales and Mary Jane missions. Everyone else I've heard talk about that game are like, those missions are so bad. I hate them. And I'm like, I'm fine with them.
Then it's gonna be just like Sly Cooper.
Probably, yeah.
There's always somebody. It's just no one wants to choose that guy.
First time it was Bentley, and then when Bentley got a sick ass set of wheels, it's Murray.
So what do you guys think about the Wolverine game? Obviously, we don't really know anything about it. All we saw was the little CG trailer, but what do you guys think it could be?
I
I
mean,
have
I'm
no
looking
idea.
forward to it. It's going to be like, you know, relative to the games that Insomniac has been releasing recently, this one's more likely to be like a rated M game.
Yeah, everyone's been talking about how this game better be rated, which I don't think is a first because I think was Sunset Overdrive rated M?
I think it was rated T.
I think it was T.
Okay,
Yeah.
so then maybe yeah, this would be their first rated M game as far as I know. People are pretty sure it's in universe because in the shot that's the back of Logan, you can see three different like number sequences on the board in like license plates. One of them says Hulk and then whatever number because Wolverine's first appearance was in a Hulk comic. Another one is a year, which is the first year that that comic was released. So when Wolverine appeared, as well as another number, which is the canonical universe number of the Spider-Man series of games universe. Because you know how they have like in Marvel, Matt, you know how they have like Earth 152 or whatever.
Yeah, Earth 616, stuff
Yeah,
like that.
so it's like 107 or something is what Marvel's Spider-Man universe is, and that was on the wall. So everyone's now pretty positive that this will be in the same universe, which is cool if they wind up building it into something new. As far as we know, there's only really two universes running at the same time right now because you have the Guardians of the Galaxy game coming out.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think they're really going to do much else with the Avengers game because that game is remaining dead. They've continuously added content, but it seems like people aren't coming back for it. So I feel like that game will die relatively soon before they haven't even put Spider-Man in the game yet, and that was like this big announcement. Still not in there. So I think it'll just be that Guardians game, and then which is it Eidos is making it, right? And then this, which is and then this new Spider-Man, Wolverine, whatever other superheroes video game universe by Insomniac. The last announcement from that conference is we finally have a trailer for God of War Ragnarok, and boy, does it look really good.
Yeah, yeah. Looks awesome.
It looks just as stunning as the first one. Atreus has most certainly grown up. You can hear it in his voice. He's significantly taller than he used to be. There's the scene where he's next to the dwarves from the first game, and they're looking at him because he's taller than them now, and they're like, "What happened to you?" But yeah, I'm super excited. The game looks great. They announced that they have a different director because that is apparently just a thing that they do at Santa Monica Studios. They constantly switch directors from game to game, which worries me a little, not because I don't have faith in the director, but because I don't have faith in fans. So if this game is not to certain individuals' liking, they're probably going to blame it on the change of director, and that is what concerns me the most. But from the trailer, from the fact that I'm pretty sure it's still the same writers who worked on the first one, I have faith. It looks pretty good. They announced a whole lot of stuff that I can talk about if you guys want, unless you don't want extra information. I know I don't want to watch another trailer for this game at all.
Yeah, I kind of want to go in pretty blind. I don't want too much of the information on like
Yeah, I think they've already
things.
said a bit too much.
Judging by one of the things they said, I don't think they've shown anything yet. They gave a comment as to how big the game is, not in terms of length, but just the amount of locations in the game. And based on that and what we saw in the trailer, I think we've only seen a fraction of what that game has to offer.
I'm sure, but you know the twists and turns and knowing what the story is going to be about, I think they've gone too far already. Even if this is just
I don't
the
think
first,
we know any of the twists and
first
turns
quarter.
except one, but I feel like that one is at the very beginning of the game. We find that out.
There are just a couple of moments in the trailers that I feel like I would have liked to have just experienced raw. And you know, it's not like oh, you know, this trailer ruined the game or anything. But it's just like a minor thing.
Yeah, that's why I feel like they shouldn't do more because I feel like they've shown enough for the entire marketing thing. I feel like they could have saved um Tears reveal for like a second trailer.
Yeah, yeah.
Or maybe even the last trailer and have that be it. I feel like they put all of the things that they would put in the marketing in the trailer. They mentioned that Ragnarok is happening in game, which I mean isn't necessarily a big twist. I'm sure the fact that the game is named Ragnarok gave that away, but that would, of course, be a bit of a spoiler. They announced that you will encounter Odin in the game, which is probably the thing that I was most frustrated with. I didn't want to know that. Obviously, confirming that the person talking in the trailer at one point is Thor and that we will fight Thor, that's one thing, but I didn't. Odin is another.
And that Thor's left-handed.
Thor is left-handed. Matt, I know you are probably so happy that you have another left-handed character to add to your list.
Every time an artist makes a character left-handed, and I don't know if that's like a part of the actual Norse mythology that Thor is left-handed, but anytime I see a character that's left-handed, I'm like, yes, I will consume this art purely for this reason.
But yeah,
Do we have anything non-gaming related?
yeah, we do.
Okay. I thought that it was just all going to be like Sony stuff.
I did say this was the last thing from the Sony thing. I mean, technically, this next thing is still technically Sony, but it's not game related. They released the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer after months of people on Twitter begging for it to release. Someone making a photoshopped thing of Kevin Feige said that they weren't going to release a trailer. After all that, and the trailer then leaking online because it was someone recorded a phone playing the trailer. So it was a recording of a recording. Someone like leaked a beta version of the trailer. It wasn't even the same trailer. It didn't have all the special effects and it had different scenes. But it got leaked and then they're like, screw it. So they like released it because they were at a convention. So I guess they timed it pretty well anyway. That trailer is really, really hype. We see Doc Ock, we see a pumpkin bomb, and hear what sounds like Willem Dafoe's laugh in the background, which I think is probably the biggest surprise of the trailer. Most people who have looked into the situation and have been keeping their eyes on it, we all knew that Doc Ock was going to be in it. Alfred Molina said as much and leaked it in an interview, but Willem Dafoe was still up in the air. No one really knew, so having that confirmation, really, really fun. There's a lot of other mysteries in the trailer. People are saying lizards in it, which I wouldn't be surprised if we want to, like, have two villains per, Spider-Man universe, if we really are doing Raimi and Andrew Garfield, which I'm pretty sure we are. I guess Lizard would be the only other option. because that was the only other antagonist we had. But it looks really good. I think the inclusion of Doctor Strange is fun. I'm hoping that's what we do more in the MCU now. As we go further, we have more and more characters appearing in each other's movies. I think that'll be a lot of fun. I think that's one of the highlights of the MCU is seeing these characters interact.
Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot to add to that. I saw the trailer and was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool," and especially having seen Loki and everything going on in that, I'm like, "Okay, I see what they're trying to do. I think." And yeah, they're just going ahead with that, I guess, with the multiverse stuff.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
I remember, Matt, you were like, your whole thing was, I'm not going to be excited for this movie until I see that Willem Dafoe is in it.
Yeah, and it's 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 like I'm almost absolutely sure that that was Willem Dafoe's laugh. So
It
I'm at the
it
point where
sounded
I'm ready.
exactly like it, yeah.
So I'm
Um,
excited for it.
Respect to Willem Dafoe for not leaking it until now, considering everyone else in that movie has leaked it. I know a lot about that movie because of leaks. I know everyone is still, saying, don't get your hopes up. We don't know that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are going to be in this movie. I have it on relatively good authority that they're going to be in this movie. I don't think that's a spoiler to say it. They're definitely in this movie. One of the actors has already accidentally let it spill. It was cool to see them both on set.
You have it on good authority. What are you getting backstage passes? Are you
um,
there?
I mean, it's bit the cast has said it, and the cast is not going to give that much of an incorrect statement without Disney being like, okay, no, 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 he lied, he lied. Disney isn't going to get people's expectations up this high for something because I'm pretty sure they know it'll backfire in their faces if they don't do it. They I'm pretty sure they're just well aware that the secret's out at this point, and if anything, it's only making it more. It's gonna get them more money in the end because they're getting free marketing. I mean, think about how many people were talking about this movie before we even got a trailer.
Yeah, that's
Like,
why whenever I saw the tweet that was like Kevin Feige being like, "Yeah, we're just not gonna release a trailer," I was like, I don't think it's real, but I can believe it because the Marvel Cinematic Universe is so big already that all they have to say is, "This is the movie that's coming out next. Here's the date," and then it will spread like wildfire. Everyone's gonna know about that before it comes out. You don't need a trailer.
yeah, the only things they need trailer for are probably like new characters, like a Shang-Chi or an Eternals, so people know what's going on. But all you have to say is Doctor Strange 2, this date. Also, Scarlet Witch is going to be in it. And then everyone who cares about that universe is going to be like, sold. Yeah, cool. I'm going to watch it. For something new, they'll probably need it. But I
I'd
don't.
say like for like shows, they'll probably need it because I don't know. It's just shows are a commitment.
Yeah, that too. I'm actually interested in the Hawkeye show because it seems to be hey, look at all these future characters we're gonna have in the MCU show. Like there looks to be like a lot of the future Young Avengers. That's what that show is gonna do. Which I think it'll be cool. Hawkeye is gonna be the dad of the group, like he always has been. Like he was with Wanda and stuff. But moving on from Marvel, I think it's important we touch on something from last week's episode. We typically wait about, we post our episodes the week after we record them. Last week's was a bit later than we usually do due to different timing things that we all had going on. So we talked about the OnlyFans situation and how they were going to eliminate all adult content off their platform, but by the time we uploaded the episode, OnlyFans had walked that back and officially declared that they will no longer be removing adult content from their platform. They got in contact with the banking people and they made a deal or whatever it was they said. But I think it's interesting, or I think it's important that we touch on that just a little bit since that was probably something that might have thrown people off, judging by the date that we posted it, since that was no longer relevant. So, just a quick update in terms of if you ever hear anything on the show that is no longer true, as of recently, We might have just recorded it before the news came out, and life happens very quickly. But yeah, does anyone have thoughts on OnlyFans walking everything back?
I think I can say what I said last time, which is this doesn't affect me.
I
I'm
feel like you're
glad.
trying to be too defensive there.
You
I feel like
Defensive.
Yeah,
have something
yeah.
to hide, Quentin?
yeah, you have something to hide.
Yeah, it's not going to affect me because of I already got my stuff on the side somewhere else. You know.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, I don't need OnlyFans. What is it? Is that your guys' thing? What is it?
That's not my thing.
I mean, I wouldn't call it my thing, but I guess relative to you two, it is. I'm just happy to hear a company listen to the community that it built. It doesn't always end that way, and I'm glad that it did this time.
I do think that in some sense the damage has already been done though, because now a lot of people see that OnlyFans in itself is also very volatile, that their means of making money could be gone at any minute.
Well, that's all internet.
Yeah, I was
Everything.
about to say.
YouTube could just stop paying its people
Yeah, but
AdSense one day.
yeah, but people don't, really think ahead until it happens, until they're scared out of that mindset of I'm safe. So I feel like a lot of, adult content creators on OnlyFans, while still using OnlyFans, are probably going to look at other outlets, whether it be new startups that started like right after the OnlyFans thing because they wanted to hop on that bandwagon to get that to get that bag, or just other pre-existing ones. I feel like a lot of new things are going to grow just because people are going to try and diversify where they get their money from after this scare. So I don't maybe OnlyFans will stay the same. Maybe they might take a hit. I know some content creators are still leaving the platform because they feel it's, not safe, it's volatile, but we'll
Yeah,
see.
not as much job security.
Yeah. Now that they've seen it, So sometimes you just don't know until it happens to you and all that jazz. I I mean, I watch the space from afar. I don't know anyone who's on OnlyFans except like whenever they announce, "Oh, this new celebrity went on OnlyFans." Then I know, but I don't really eye the space that much. This is the most I've looked at OnlyFans probably in its entire existence. Like, oh, I wonder what's gonna happen here. So I guess we'll see. I know OnlyFans like revenue tanked after that announcement because people just started unsubscribing. But we'll see if they regain some of that trust at all. Lastly, we have our bigger topic. It's kind of two, but they work together. Both Bethesda and CD Projekt Red have hired modders in the past couple months, weeks, and it's interesting because of what they're having them do. Bethesda has done it in a more, normal way, I suppose, where they've just hired some of the modders and put them in different Bethesda studios. They're not all at Bethesda, and they're quest designers, which makes sense because that's what a lot of those modders do. There were at least four, but only two of them have really named themselves, so I will only be discussing those two. One of them was the former lead writer on the still in progress mod Fallout London, as well as another one was their name is Nika Cola. She worked on the mod A Machine and Her, which I've personally played and it's incredible. And they also were one of the lead writers on the Sim Settlements 2 mod. So both of them have experience. Nika Cola specifically, you can go and play their stuff right now, so you can kind of get a feel for what her stuff might be depending on what studio she's at. I'm not entirely sure that's been announced yet. I think both of them have just said, "Oh, we're working at Bethesda now." But I think it's interesting to see more modders being put in the space. I think it is kind of unfortunate because specifically with Fallout London, they just lost their head writer, which I don't think is going to damage the mod in any way. I'm sure there were other writers, and a lot of the work has already been done that they can continue to build off of. But it's interesting to note that as modders get hired, that means whatever they might be working on or whatever they might, have wanted to do in the future typically goes out the window because they can no longer do those things while you're working at the studio. I don't really think you're allowed to mod the game you're working on, or they just might not have the time. CDPR is more of an interesting thing, though, as they have four modders who are kind of working for their own company. So they haven't properly hired them, they're kind of just contracted, and they've asked them to bug fix the game a little bit for Cyberpunk, but also the modders are going to be the ones adding mod support to the game. The actual modders are going to be creating mod support.
That's pretty good, I think.
Yeah, I think modders would know what you need whenever you're trying to activate sort of the ability to mod inside of a game. Because some games make it incredibly hard to do. Some games make it really, really easy. And so that would be pretty good that a modder is like, oh, you know what they need? They need this. They need this. They need this. And so yeah, that's great.
Yeah, the team for CDPR, they've already been working on mod tools right now. One of them made the current mod tools that are being used currently. Obviously it's not the best, but it's only been a couple months since the game's launch, and they're working on it with no help. They didn't work there yet. But on this team are the same people who made the unofficial mod tools for Witcher 3. Those people are also working on this. So they've clearly proven themselves. It makes sense that they would be contracted. I do think it's interesting that they've just asked a bunch of people to be like, hey, mods, do mod support. I think that's really cool. Hopefully, more studios will kind of look at this sort of thing in the future whenever they, don't necessarily have the resources or just decide to not put mod support in their game. If they're willing to allow mods in the first place, just let the fans do it and say it's official. Because I mean, that would be the only difference. Otherwise, is it would just be an unofficial thing. But this is just, yeah, we're gonna pay you money to help us make mod support, and effectively, we're gonna pay you to make your own job easier because they don't work there, so they can keep making mods after this, which is cool. It'll be interesting to see how many studios kind of take a look at that. And I know we talked a few weeks ago about modders being hired or modders doing other things. So I think it's interesting to see how quickly in this same time frame it's been done. I think specifically Bethesda hired these people in like the past 2 months, so it feels intentional that they're hiring modders. So I feel like this might be a step forward for the kind of industry as they see new talent and are like, this person actually makes good things, maybe we should hire them. Which kind of leads into our topic of the day.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say just a little comment on that. The idea of what Nexus Mods is going to do, sort of taking away agency from the modders. If they join a company, that probably still is going to happen to some extent, but at least they'll most likely be getting paid more for it.
Yeah,
Um,
probably.
but yeah, so our topic today is how the internet affected the different mediums of art, and by this we mean how film or video games was changed by the not just the introduction of the internet in general, but how overreaching the idea of the internet has become in communication. Quentin, I know you have a list of your own.
I mean, yeah, I have quite a few things that I'd like to talk about. Just to start us out, I think that the internet has made the bar to entry a lot lower for all mediums. I think that in the past, before you had a way of communicating with everybody, you had to know somebody, right? Like you had to be on the radio or you had to be on TV. You had to know someone in the industry to get into regular physical art, painting and all that. But now you can show your stuff on Twitter, get a Twitter following, and then you blow up there. You make something of yourself from that, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think that. I think the internet has really helped us out with making the bar to entry quite a bit lower. I was thinking some of the examples I had was like Newgrounds, where that was a way that a lot of people could create, comics or animations or even games, just whenever they wanted to in their free time. Allowed people to sort of be a little creative and get it out there, so people know those people's names and stuff nowadays.
Yeah, I think it's much easier to just, you know, get your name out there and kind of like you're saying, Quinn, it's kind of the reverse, where before it's you had to know somebody, and now you can have someone just know you.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we have a lot of content that's being made, whether through just normal artists who show their stuff on DeviantArt, Twitter, Tumblr, any of those platforms. You have people making proper shows or animations like the Mystery Skulls series. You have Has Been Hotel and its spin-off Hell of a Boss. You have Ruby, which Rooster Teeth has made many shows thanks to how well Red versus Blue took off. I mean, that basically started their entire company. Red versus Blue is what Rooster Teeth was founded on, and that was just a random machinima style Halo show.
Yeah.
And then you had Rest in Peace Infinity Train, which its pilot was put on YouTube and then they got picked up by Cartoon Network, and unfortunately the show was canceled recently to the to the anger of many, but that's it's Cartoon Network for you. But yeah, it's so much easier. You have a whole lot of artists who like musical artists who are YouTubers. I don't know if you guys know Charlie Puth. He's the dude who sings in the "See You Again" song from Fast and the Furious. He was a YouTuber. I remember I watched some of his videos before he became a superstar like he is now. A lot of singers can take off from YouTube.
Well, I mean, you want to bring up the what was it? The original was like Justin Bieber, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Justin Bieber was discovered off of a YouTube video.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so easy for anyone in any one of the kind of those little niches to just have some random guy watch a YouTube video or have your YouTube video go viral. I mean, look at how many views uh the pilot for Has Been Hotel has. Like,
Yeah.
look at that has millions of views. I'm sure a lot of big shots have seen that at different companies, and it makes sense because they've been picked up to actually make a season of the show. But it's so much easier to just get your name out there as long as you are willing and able to continue to push your work. You have websites where you can post your writing. uh, Tumblr is a home for everything. Granted, not that many people are really on Tumblr anymore, but it has its own niche of people who have their own communities. You have Reddit, which makes it easier, and then people share their content on multiple platforms to get eyes on it as well. Like, just it's so easy to diversify and just spread your name no matter what you're doing. And that's probably I think that's going to probably be the biggest thing that we talk about considering this topic is just how easy it is to get your name out there in terms of any way. I mean, people talk about how easy it is to express yourself on Twitter, just like typing your random thoughts about the day, but and how
Yeah.
bad or good that may be. But I think in terms of media and entertainment, I think Twitter and all these social medias are probably the best thing that could have ever happened to them.
I also think with the introduction of social media, you can just you can just live tweet, just tweet any thought that comes to your mind. The barrier, maybe not barrier, but like the distance between uh, the artist and the fan communities has gotten so weird now. It's kind of closer, but it's also kind of further away because it's more personal, but it's also can be very impersonal. Like you get more personal with your fan base, but also your fan base sort of creates this um, caricature or has this idea of like this caricature of the creator in a lot of cases. Um, and of course, there's like the beautiful side of it with fan art and things like that. The conjunction of fans with the actual artists themselves. Getting to talk to them. Leaks, which a lot of times are through some form of social media. I think it's just interesting how much that has changed the actual relationship.
Yeah, I mean now you have things like Reddit AMAs, which I mean Simu Liu, who plays Shang-Chi, did one very recently. I read all of the stuff. And you see him respond to all of these people who are just asking legitimate questions or like they do the thing where they're like, I'm a big fan, I've liked you since blah blah blah, I met you a long time ago, blah blah blah, and then ask their question. But you see him really interact with his fans and really, you know, kind of have proper conversations with them, thank them for their support.
Yeah.
I know John Green does one before like all of his books, he's done one. So you have there's it's so much easier to be able to communicate with your fans. I I don't have any specifics off the top of my head, but I know I've seen people who work on shows have art commissioned for them of their
Yeah,
characters.
yeah.
Well, I know that like whenever it came to the Mandalorian, they had semi well known artists from like DeviantArt and stuff like that, or even people that have their own sites to sell their art. You have people paying to commission for official artwork. So like Destiny has some artwork that is officially commissioned. So it's not stuff that was made in house. And you get stuff like that put on T-shirts, get stuff like that put on posters, things like that. I'm pretty sure when it came to Mandalorian, it was like, although there's not an actual like box set as far as I know, it's like a box cover, you know?
Yeah, and I don't know if the that person is still doing the art, but I know that you knew someone who like knew one of the actors from Supernatural that did fan art of it.
Yeah. One of my friends, his sister, knew one of the actors from Supernatural, and she was doing a bunch of art for commission work for people to go to conventions and stuff like that and
Yeah.
get him to sign it. He knew her style so well that whenever he grabbed a piece of art that someone had commissioned, he'd be like, "Oh, is this girl?" And yeah, they were like, "Oh yeah, I got a commission just to have you sign it." And then he'd take a picture of it and put it on Twitter and tag her and stuff like that. So they knew each other quite well.
Yeah.
Yeah, stuff like that is really good to see. And even though it's, kind of still like, you know, a content creator versus a content creator, you have a lot of these, super fans who become big, like the completionist or Matt Pat, and they go and they do stuff with Nintendo. They meet Reggie, back when he still
Yeah.
was CEO. They would have their own little moments of, kind of geeking out and showing their like their like fan side where again, even though they are content creators, they're still fans and they bring fans in and they're like, hey, what do you think of this? And give us your honest opinion. And you have people who are just fans or just random Twitch streamers get sent early copies of games
Yeah.
to play them and to talk about them. And this wouldn't be possible without social media because all you'd really have are, proper, classical critics and reviewers. But now it can be a random reviewer on Twitter or on YouTube or a person who just only does Pokemon battles and doesn't really care for the game, but they still send them a copy. Or some random Twitch streamer who loves streaming the game, or a speedrunner who I know a lot of speedrunners got Kingdom Hearts 3 early or were able to go to a special event where they got to play the game early and give their criticisms in case they wanted to tweak some things based off of how, prior games played. I think stuff like that is made way easier because you can see who's really interacting with your content.
Yeah, I would say even like another aspect of how the internet has sort of affected the mediums is that, and there's something that sort of happened throughout history, but the idea of tools of the trade being, you know, passed down as they like, like whatever high end technology is being used right now at the top of the industry will eventually make it down to public use. Things like the what was it called? The engine to create like realistic faces that
Oh, like deep fake technology and stuff like that? Or are you talking about
no, there was like a like tools to create like video game. Yeah, I can't remember what it was called, but basically it was like it was what the actual company was using to make lifelike human character models for video games. It was like procedurally generated facial movements for like talking and things like that, dubbing. And I think it might even be what they use for. Actually, I'm not sure, but Ghost of Tsushima for the Japanese dub or Japanese dub because the actual speaking is like auto generated or something.
I'm so glad that they changed that in the new one. Apparently, in the remaster, they actually lip synced the
Yeah,
Japanese.
yeah. For some reason on the internet it says that it was only the lip sync was only changed for the PS5, but I'm playing it on PS4 and I notice that it is lip synced to the Japanese dub.
Yeah, I think some of the updates from the like remaster got put on the normal game.
Got you. But yeah, also like there was a show called Sense Eight that had a few seasons come out, but then also got canceled before it could really, finish any of its storylines. And it just got so much like support from fans that I think they put out a poll for it first and got some, outrageous number. And then from there, they actually did get them to make one huge, like, hour-long finale episode. And
Oh
so
yeah,
things like that is
whenever
crazy.
fans can get like a show to get picked back up by a different studio, like Brooklyn Nine-Nine had that happen.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are asking for Infinity Train to get saved.
Futurama.
Yeah, Futurama is another big one. Uh, there's a lot of shows that are just saved like that, or even maybe not saved, but just like revived a couple years later, and they do more stuff with them. Also, like we were talking about earlier, fans getting recognized and being hired, or even being referenced, like you were mentioning earlier, Quentin. I remember when I started playing Fallout 4 on PC, Sim Settlements 2 had come out recently, and even separately from one of the people being hired from it, usually they would have like advertisements of, hey, this is the DLC, hey, this is the most recent Creation Club thing on the top right of the start screen. They had an advertisement for Sim Settlements 2 on the top right of the screen. That's a mod. That's not theirs. Bethesda specifically said, hey, check out this amazing game or this amazing mod built by the community, Sim Settlements 2, in the top right of the screen.
And it wasn't on Creation Club?
No, it wasn't. You'd have to either download it for yourself on PC, or I think they had it on Bethesda.net for PC and for Xbox One.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah, they do have some of those free mods on
Yeah,
the
but
Bethesda.
obviously it's still not theirs. It's just they're the hosting site for the mods, so they were just like, this is a really cool mod. We're gonna advertise it to people so they can experience it. I think stuff like that is really really cool when the creators are willing to kind of say, hey, look at this stuff that the community is making. It's as good as us, or maybe even a little bit better than us. I think uh that's what makes certain like relationships between creators and the fans very special. uh I know a lot of this is kind of a different space, but I know I'm a big fan of VTubers, but if you go to different VTubers' Twitters, you're gonna see pages upon pages of just them tweeting out fan art that people sent at them and being like, look at this person who drew me, look at this person who drew me, look at this person who drew me. And all of their, a lot of VTubers, unless they're indie VTubers who don't work with a company, they typically are not the people who made their model or who made their design. And even the creators of their own design are going to retweet art and things like that. So, having open communities like that where it's like everyone's in on it, everyone's enjoying the art, it makes it really special in a way that you didn't really have before. Before it was just, oh, you experienced the fandom at a convention and
Yeah.
that was it.
Yeah.
But now you can experience the fandom no matter what, whether it be an r slash, like group or Twitter or whatever.
Discord.
Discord was the one that I was going to
Yeah,
bring up.
there's massive discords as well.
That was something else I was going to talk about, was how viral tweets or posts or videos really do change. The way I have it written down here is that culture is shared or changed frequently. And so I think that whenever those things get out into the world, everyone knows that. Everyone knows Charlie bit my finger, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's something that could not happen beforehand, right? Something that is just so innocent and easy, I guess. Just take out a camera and post it. I guess it could have been on America's Funniest Home Videos back in the 90s or something.
Ain't
But,
nobody got time for that.
but yeah, I don't think that we would have a lot of these things that people are memeing on nowadays.
Yeah. The Vines and TikTok really, I think, sold that because it was just so much of like you don't have to put. Granted, a lot of people did put effort. You don't have to put effort into like a Vine or a TikTok. It's just, oh, I decided to put out this little bit, like any little idea you come up with.
Anything that's just like, oh, that's kind of funny to me. Let me see if it's funny to other
Yeah.
people too.
Road work ahead.
And also
yeah, I sure hope it does.
Oh my
like,
god.
And also to kind of hijack this and kind of, elaborate on it in a different direction. Like, a lot of these things are also free marketing. I mean, how many children of this day and age don't know who He-Man is, but know the Hey video?
I hear you.
How many people have not seen a SpongeBob episode in years and continuously tweet out SpongeBob memes? Or how many kids haven't seen any of the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, but they know the scene of him dancing in Spider-Man 3?
Okay, yeah, I got one personally. I have never seen the what was that first Spider-Man animated series, but I know the meme where they're pointing at each other.
Oh yeah, yeah. The pointing me. Yeah, like this
And
is
that one's been
free.
reiterated so many times in so many different ways. I think that's really funny. I'm sure that if I actually watched the show and got to that scene, I'd be like, "Oh, that wasn't really that funny."
I mean, it's free advertising. I mean, the second Baby Yoda or Grogu was shown on screen in The Mandalorian, it was all over Twitter. If you didn't want Mandalorian spoilers, you wouldn't get spoiled for anything except him, because that's all anyone was tweeting about. That's what you'd find out is, oh my god, there's a little baby and he's the same race as Yoda. It's
Yeah,
adorable.
and people still use it as a picture for a quote they want to put in, or just a mood that they're in, or whatever. People use all of his
Baby
pictures for
Yoda is the
everything.
new minion.
Also, because of how
terrible.
big Marvel is, anytime a Marvel show comes out, the only memes that are at the top right now are or not right now, but like at the time, are relating to points in the show.
Yeah, plot points from the show or
Yeah.
jokes from the show.
The meme that, well, not really the meme, but there was like a video that somebody made that got me to watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and it was about one of the Wakandan guard ladies having like taking the shield for a minute, taking Captain America's shield for a minute, and I was like, okay, well now I have to watch this show. That was just free marketing.
Yeah, like that. Like ultimately, I think that's what a lot of these companies want, and that's why you see, in a lot of times it doesn't work. You see a lot of like social media trying to make their own like memes and tweets, and it's not that good. I was scrolling through Reddit the other day, and there was an ad that, like, I guess the Walmart like
I know
Reddit
what you're
thing
about to
said as
say.
well, and it's like Walmart gives you great deals, and it had the everybody
Everyone
liked
loved
that
that
meme
from
from
Fallout
Fallout 4,
4.
and
Yeah,
I
I keep getting that one.
was like, bro. Like sometimes it doesn't really work. It's funny, but it's funny for the wrong reason. I
Yeah.
don't
I
think
think it's funny
Hello,
because
fellow
it's like
kids.
that feels a little bit too exact. It's not really a joke. You're actually trying to say everyone actually likes there's all these deals at Walmart, you know? It's not an actual joke if somebody did something that was like controversial, but then it's like everybody liked that. And that's the funny part.
or that someone is just like a random good Samaritan, and then you're like, hey, let's give this guy some appreciation. Everybody like that. No, it's them.
They're actually patting themselves on the back for
Yeah.
low prices. It's like that's not a joke. So
It's
Get off the stage.
but I think that is like a good encapsulation of how like they are now trying to take what the internet is doing and use it because they know it can be used as a weapon. I think a good example of this, how many views and listens and how much money has Lil Nas X made off of social media? And I'm not even talking about the most recent, like him stirring up controversy for Industry Baby and for his new album and all that stuff. Just look at Old Town Road and how big it blew up because he saw the opportunity for controversy with the whole it's not allowed on country charts, and then he started pushing it on TikTok, and it blew up that way. And he is a master at using the internet to his advantage.
yeah,
It
I
is
think he's just
impressive.
incredibly smart. I think that he knows the medium that he's trying to advertise for. He knows his audience, honestly. I don't follow him all that much, but I have heard that he's on Discord and he directly chats with people.
Yeah, I think he has his own Discord.
I think that's amazing. Like the idea that I mean, probably whenever he made that Discord, he wasn't, one of the most paid singers. But I feel like if other people were to go that route, like say that someone was on Discord and you can talk to Robert Downey Jr., just
Bro.
random celebrities off Discord, like their
If I
direct
could have a
conversation.
one-sentence conversation with Robert Downey Jr.
Oh my god, they're conversing with you just naturally like that. I think that's really cool that the internet has allowed for that sort of dichotomy.
I mean, you have personal experience with that, Quinn. I mean, he's not necessarily a huge celebrity, but for the three of us who are a fan of the, Sly Cooper games, you are in a Discord with the voice actor for Sly Cooper.
Yeah, I've talked to him a few times. Yeah, he's pretty cool.
Like that's insane because I've talked to a lot of voice actors. I had I met Stan Lee, I met Mark Hamill at conventions, but I've never had moments to really talk to them outside of sometimes if it's like a smaller person, like a voice actor for something, you can have a conversation with them. I had a conversation with I believe he voiced Pinky, and then he also voiced Carl and Jimmy Neutron. I had a conversation with him. One of the funniest stories I have about meeting people at conventions is the first convention I ever went to. The voice actress for Diva from Overwatch was there, and I get to go up to her. I ask for like her autograph or whatever. My dad starts talking to her because he recognizes her from an episode of one of the cop shows he watches that she was like a guest in for one episode, and she's like, no one's ever recognized me from that. And they start having a conversation about it. But like all that stuff is only possible at a convention, but now you can just message someone on Twitter and maybe they'll respond. Maybe they'll see your tweet and be like, "Ah, that's funny," or you'll send them a meme and they'll retweet it, or just something silly as that. It's so easy to, communicate with people now that there's no barriers to it anymore. You don't need to have the money to go to a convention and then have the money to be able to go up to that person to pay for their autograph or whatever it is. All you need is an internet connection and a Twitter account.
And I think that the pinnacle of that has to be streaming, because that's
Oh,
the
100%.
chance you get to just, of course, there's no guarantee that they'll read your message on the, stream chat, but it's, the creator or, the streamer just chilling, hanging out with their actual fan base, live. You get direct messages from them and everything. I don't know. It's an interesting thing because, like, of course, there's some streams where it's like, oh, I'm playing a game or I'm doing something specific. But then you have, just chatting is literally, a type of stream on Twitch, and that's just you get to hang out with this star, and regardless of how personal it really is, it feels pretty personal.
I think that even the celebrities that were famous from other places going there, 'cause that's how I talked to Kevin Miller. Is that he does streaming on Twitch every week, and he pulls people from the Discord into his call to talk to them and stuff like that. And so that's how I've been able to talk to Kevin Miller a few times. But there's what's his name, T-Pain. T-Pain is on Twitch.
Yeah, T-Pain's on Twitch. He
Like-
streams games all the time.
He didn't get popular off Twitch, right?
No.
So it's really cool, the idea that these people would do that sort of thing. I don't think that everybody's going to do that. It's not 100% that every actor, every songwriter, singer, I don't think everybody wants to play video games or even make a Twitch account to do just chatting. But I do think that the people who do play video games just in their off time, now they can do that. I'm wondering if Henry Cavill's ever going to get into that.
I think he's
Oh, that'd be
done-
cool.
I think he's done a couple things similar. I know he was part of the watch party for Justice League, and he's specifically spoken about the games he likes to play and stuff like that. I wouldn't be surprised if he did. I know a lot of people who are in the gaming industry wind up streaming their games. The actor for Jin in Ghost of Tsushima streamed him playing Ghost of Tsushima. I saw his reaction to the end of the game.
Yeah, him and the Norio voice actor as well
I think
have their own
so.
like channel, YouTube
Yeah.
channel.
I've seen the voice actor for Roadhog plays Overwatch a few times. They also have, I don't know if it's something that he does all the time, but Matt Mercer played a few rounds of Overwatch
And he
doing
would
the voice.
Yeah, and he would troll everyone.
That was the best. He'd go into like the chat and do the "it's high noon,"
And everyone would think-
everyone thought, "Oh no, hide right now,"
It was so good.
because he did it like perfectly.
Yeah.
And then you had I know they don't really do the channel together anymore, but you formerly Troy Baker and Nolan North had their own little show called Retro Replay where they would play retro games together and just talk. Nolan North, and now it's like his son and a few other people are doing it while Troy Baker does other stuff. Troy Baker does occasionally stream and do some stuff like that. A lot of these people are doing stuff, and it's also interesting because they do their own thing. I mean, think about one of the biggest things in terms of tabletop RPGs is Critical Role, which is a whole bunch of voice actors
I was
coming
about to say,
together and playing D&D.
yeah, when Quentin brought up Matt Mercer, that reminded me of just how much the internet has changed, or maybe not even. I wouldn't say changed, more just expanded the TTRPG scene. Not just with oh you can do it online now. So I'm playing D&D with people with friends like in different states. Like I got a friend in New York and a friend off on the East Coast, and we're playing D&D. We're like what's generally considered to be everyone's in the room with a book and a battle mat out. And of course, it changes that in terms of the range that you can play with, but also the amount of homebrew things online. Like if I'm like, oh, I want to make this type of monster, or I want to make like a new class for a character that's a bender, or a new class for a character that can do something else. You can find it. There's so much homebrew out there that there are very few ideas that you can come up with that hasn't already been, like, at least at the very least, put up as a question.
Yeah, like I know I mentioned in the last episode that Quinn and I have, randomly been working on a storyline for a Fallout like TTRPG D&DS game. We came up with that idea because a friend of ours posted in our Discord the rules and all of the stats and everything for a Fallout TTRPG, where all of the enemies that are in any of the Fallout games, as well as the courier is also on that list randomly. All of their stats are there, how VATS works, what all the special stats are, and how they work if you want to incorporate them into the game instead of normal D&D stats. All that stuff is in the game, or all that stuff is just written down, and that's how we got the idea to do that. I'm sure there's probably rules for like an Elder Scrolls themed thing, which probably wouldn't be too much of a
Almost
difference,
definitely,
but
yeah.
there's so much stuff out there that even if it doesn't exist because you have like a very broad idea, you can pick and choose what you want to do from different games. I've had the idea of doing a D&D campaign where everyone plays like video game characters, and it's a like Smash Bros esque thing where all of the worlds have somehow like combined. So you play different characters and you'd have to do a lot of work for that. But I'm sure stats exist for a lot of those individual games that you just be like, okay, we're using this, and we're using this, and we're using this, and we're putting them together.
Well, just having the information on the internet kind of goes into what I was talking about earlier with the bar being lowered, because a lot of the things I do for like editing or for music production or for anything, I looked up. There are forums all over the internet. You can find information about anything. So even
Skillshare.
yeah, exactly. Skillshare, Curiosity Stream, stuff like that. Even just YouTube videos if you want to, be a little more spread out, I guess. And so I don't think that it's just media that's changed. I'm even the way that we interact with the world. I've never had to take my computer to a person to get it fixed because I just Google the problem on my phone and then find out how to fix it. When I was building my first PC, I didn't know what I was doing. So I Googled the motherboard and was like, I don't know what you're plugging into what. And it told me step by step what to do. And so I think that it just allows people to learn new skills and learn new things they want to do, even whenever it comes to creation of media. You can learn how to make 3D models, how to animate, how to make things that then would be put on YouTube or put on Twitter and you get a following from.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I haven't really done any of that stuff, though I have been interested because I know like Skillshare and Curiosity Stream have a lot of stuff that I would absolutely be interested in learning and kind of honing the skills that I already have, as well as um, I I want to be better at art, like proper art, because I write a lot of
Proper
things.
art.
I write a lot of stuff, and sometimes, like, say I want to work on a game or I want to work on a movie or a show or something, sometimes if I need to create like a design for something, yeah, I have problems kind of putting what I visualize in my head onto page, and it look like what I'm actually intending it to do, which might be difficult for if I'm trying to work with a concept artist or something like that. So that's something I want to do, and through though I'm sure Skillshare has plenty of stuff for that, but also I've watched several streamers who stream themselves doing art, and in those streams you'll have people in chat kind of ask questions like, how do you do this, what software do you use, what pens do you use, and they ask all these questions, and they will consistently answer, and all that knowledge is there. You'll be able to gain like learn all that stuff while also still being entertained, because they're still streaming and drawing and being entertaining and things like that, which is honestly really cool that it's it's kind of changed how learning works. I mean, I know a lot of schools now are starting to do online stuff where they have you watch videos that are much more engaging than a teacher could ever be. And I mean, that makes sense. I learn so much easier when someone is being entertaining and teaching me stuff. I remember sometimes in school they would play crash course videos.
Yeah, I was sitting here thinking about Crash Course, but also like Michael here.
Or like I remember whenever we were learning math stuff in school, they would play Cyber Chase because they taught math in that, and it was an entertaining show. We would always love to watch Cyber Chase to the point that everyone in the class would sing along to the song because it's catchy and all that stuff. But there's a reason why little kids shows are designed to be entertaining while also teaching you things, and I think the internet has made that so much easier for people of all ages, because it doesn't just have to be silly little shows on Disney Junior or whatever. Now it can just be a proper video where someone's being silly, like the history of the world or the history of Japan videos
Yeah.
that do legitimately give you information while also just being stupid and silly.
I love whenever they add a bit of comedy to it. One of my favorite things is that in the very first Crash Course videos where they're doing world history, there was the joke of "except the Mongols." That is one of my favorite jokes, and I still think about that constantly. That was something that was put into school whenever we were in high school. They were showing videos like that and stuff because they had just come out. But I'm also thinking about things that they would never really show in school, but it's still good education to have. I think that Kurzgesagt, but also Kyle Hill, things like that. I don't think those are being shown in school. Maybe they are. I don't know. I haven't been in school in a while, but I don't think that they are. I think they're a little bit higher tier, I guess, in the sense of they're not really comedic in a whole lot of in the same way as like Crash Course and stuff like that. I don't think it's directed at high school students or middle school students. I think it's very much like I'm trying to tell an adult about this problem, you know?
And another way, I guess this isn't really affecting the media itself, but the way it affects fandoms. I mean, it's so much easier to discuss something you like because of communities. Or I think one of the things the three of us are trying to do, and there's a lot of people who do it, you have video essays that people are just putting online about things they love or just talking about old things.
Yeah.
Like those, I love those. You have people who their entire career is that. You have like Joseph Anderson, who just makes 4-hour long videos about, hey, I played The Witcher 1 and this is what I felt about The Witcher 1, looking at it versus other games, or
Or a
this is what
12-hour
I think
video.
about the new
About
God of War
Oblivion,
game.
yeah.
Oh yeah, the 12-hour video about Oblivion, and stuff like that. And people watch them because they're interested in other people's opinions on games that they either like or have never played. I know there are a lot of videos about things that I've never seen or never played that I'm just like, oh, I wonder what their opinion is on it.
I
Like,
don't want to listen to this.
I've never played Oblivion. I've only ever played Skyrim. But the fact that the video was 12 hours long, I was like, this guy probably has something to say. I kind of want to watch the video.
I finished it actually. I listened to all of it. Funny enough, while I was playing Oblivion, I was listening to it, and yeah, I don't. I mean, this isn't the place to talk about it, I guess, but I don't fully agree with everything that he says.
You don't.
And
I don't
mean,
think you could have 12 hours
I-
of someone talking and have anyone agree with fully what they say.
Yeah, I think that's the other. I think that's the other interesting thing about it, though, because it also allows for more discourse. Because if you don't agree with what he says, you can, tweet at him and ideally have a reasonable conversation with him.
Or you make, a diss track.
Or you make a diss track, or you just make a video with your own opposing beliefs. I know there are 5,000 videos about why Last of Us Part 2 is bad and 5,000 videos about why Last of Us Part 2 is good, or
and 10,000 about why it's meh.
about why it's like, oh, I'm in the middle.
Yeah.
And then you have people who, criticize other content creators. You have like the old school content cop videos, or people who criticize people like CinemaSins. Everyone kind of communicates and builds off of everyone, and
It's a tree.
Yeah, it's like a tree of constant. People grow off of other people, and it's constantly trying to push the needle forward. And I think that's something that has never happened before, because usually if you want to respond to something, it'll either never be seen or you have to be some sort of big shot name for
Well,
anyone to see it.
That's the big thing I was thinking of when we were talking about how again, I keep bringing it back to it, but whenever the bar's been lowered, I think that more stuff is out there because of all the Van Goghs in the world. There's, probably hundreds of thousands of people who made something but never put it out in the world. So even in that time, I don't think that it's right to say that nowadays there's just more people doing art. I think there's more people publishing art.
Yeah,
I think it's easier to publish that art. And so I think that if we're going off of last episode we had, I sort of broached the idea that the internet is sort of an amalgamation of all things. It is a culture built upon itself, I think. I don't think that it's just, something self-contained. I think it always is building on something that came before. And so I think that whenever it comes to art in that sense on the internet, I think everything's sort of becoming a giant mass of art that is just a bunch of people making small things, a bunch of very famous people making big things, and everything's just, being iterated on because of that person did something and that person did something. And in the past, it was always... Sorry, what?
Just to boil down human expression.
Yeah, pretty much. I think that in the past, you would look at only the greats. You would look at only the art that is being put on the shelves in a museum, right? But nowadays, you have so much more to look at and so much more to distill down into your own experience, your own way to express, I guess.
And in that sense, you have a lot of voices that otherwise might not get a spotlight to be able to shine on the internet.
Yeah, exactly.
You have can't remember his name right now, but
mine might have been a bit too verbose.
No, but like I don't remember his name right now, but one of like a really big YouTuber who he was openly gay, and that was very big because a lot of kids are watching him. Normally, kids would not be able to see that. Some kids might be sheltered to it, or some kids, parents might just be waiting to explain the concept to them, whatever reason it might be. But now people are getting, easier access to that because more voices are able to be heard and seen at younger ages. Because for better or for worse, a lot of parents are just letting their kids run rampant on YouTube when they're like 3. But I mean, a lot of that is there. I mean, you have shows like Hell of a Boss, Hell of a Boss and Has Been Hotel, which I think is a bit vulgar and adult and has its own representation. But it has a lot of representation. But yeah, it has that darker edge to it, which probably would not have gotten a shot if they didn't put it on YouTube and people see, oh, there's a large audience for something like this. People do like it. A lot of things that might be deemed a bit too controversial or edgy, and then people are like, oh no, people like that for whatever reason. And those voices, whether it be, minorities in terms of ethnicity or just people who are part of the LGBT community who can, express themselves in different ways online, like stuff like that is made so much easier because as you said, Quinn, and as I said earlier, it's the most important, subject that we're talking about today. The bar for entry is lowered to the point where you can get eyes on yourself no matter what. At least 1, 2, 3 people are going to watch it. And if they like it, it can spread.
I think another aspect of that as well is how much that it allows cultures to sort of intermingle. Like the biggest example I can think of is anime. How much it's become, ubiquitous. Although I was trying to think of like, if it wasn't for Cartoon Network, I don't think that. Well, it's a mixture of Cartoon Network and the internet that anime spread the way it did.
There's also Toonami and stuff like that.
That was on Cartoon
That
Network.
was
Yeah,
on
that was
Toonami.
on
Okay,
Cartoon
I know
Network.
like they did stuff like that.
Cartoon Network was like the ballsiest
That was
cartoon
the
channel.
first time
What
I
was
ever
the
saw
Disney
anime.
one? Disney had one. I think it was like ZX or something like that. Disney had its own like anime stuff. So like Yin Yang Yo was on there, and a bunch of other Disney shows that they had that were anime themed. Yeah, I know they did stuff like that too. The only one that didn't do any anime stuff was Nickelodeon.
I don't remember Disney's. I remember Yin Yang Yo, but I don't remember that being Disney.
I think it was. Let me look it up. I
Yin
know
Yang
they
Yo,
had
no,
their own
yeah, I
stuff.
think that was Cartoon Network.
Was it? I know Disney had their own. Disney had their own because I remember the logo. It was like a little metal. I think it was like the shape of an E, but it was like a little character dude.
The Disney XD, like,
It was before Disney XD. It was like when we were kids, like when Timon and Pumbaa and Tarzan was still a cartoon. It was when we were little kids, like
I got no idea
elementary
what you're talking
school.
I
about.
have no idea what you're talking about. Like I said, the first thing I remember is Toonami. Maybe it's the most successful. That's why.
Oh yeah, that is the most successful.
Yeah, but like things like that, sort of the spread of cultures. I feel like the internet really sort of boosted that, and that's just something really cool to see. We're getting a game that was another game that was announced on the Sony showcase called what was it called? It was like, oh god, where does it take? Stephanie, do you know like the game I'm talking about? It was like Islanders. I don't remember the
Uh,
name of it.
of what?
The one of the games that was announced at the Sony showcase.
Oh, the one where they were like from like I think it's like the Pacific Islands or something like that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like a combination of they have the guitar stuff from Last of Us Part 2 and you can turn into animals like in Super Mario Odyssey. It looks really good.
yeah, yeah.
And it's also all in a foreign language. It's all subtitled.
And things like that. I love it. But one of the ways that the internet has sort of changed the way that fandoms interact with media that I thought of almost immediately when like we brought this up is like ARGs. The entire idea of this fan base working as a unit to investigate, and you sort of see like the same thing happening with some of the gaming communities. Like I'm a Destiny 2 fan, and like hunting down these secrets that are throughout the entire game. There's something called the 15th Wish that that was first of all like it was essentially like a prank got pulled on the entire community because they were watching this one streamer work extremely hard to get this thing done, and in the end we learned that it was just a lie by one of the characters in the game. Like things like that where it's like the entire community is interacting with the media with the company or the creators on a whole different level just as a unit, like it's not just fans can talk to you, fans can talk to you. It's the fans are all trying to solve this problem. FNAF, you have all the uh theorists, FNAF theorists and everything like that. You have MatPat, of course is one of the like I guess faces for it, although I'm sure that some people would take issue with that. But he is sort of the face right now of being a theorist, investigating, trying to figure out answers, speculation. But then you have like for Destiny 2 fans, you have like My Name is Bife and Myelin, who go into these entire things about stories of lore from Destiny 2 that they've looked up in different lore books and things like that. It's just sort of interesting to see the fan base acting as a unit because of a mix of the communication and the relationship between the artist and the consumers. It just sort of led to this. I can't think of a word for like hive mentality almost.
Okay, I looked up what you were
Yeah,
trying to
yeah,
talk
yeah.
about yesterday.
I found it
time.
too. It's
Uh,
called Jetix or JetX or something like that.
No, not that. I'm talking
Oh.
about his Islander video game he was talking
Oh no,
about.
I'm going back to what I was saying earlier. I was right. Disney did have an anime thing, and that's what Yin Yang was on, and and also Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go was on there. It was called Jetix, and that's
I
what it
still
was.
don't know what you're talking about with that.
It's just I remembered it very vividly.
I'm gonna have to
So
look it up.
I
I
can
don't
show
have any
you it. I
memory.
have it. I did remember it because of the logo, and it looked exactly what I was. It was like an X instead of an A. But yeah, Disney also had their own thing, less successful. But
Obviously.
honestly, I still remember Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go, and Yin Yang Yo, and I don't remember that many things from Toonami. So while I remember Toonami by name, I remember the other by the shows.
I didn't even watch all the shows on Toonami, but I remember a good number of them.
Naruto and Bleach were
Yeah, I was gonna say
on there.
Naruto, Bleach, the one
Those
I
were
watched.
on Toonami. I just know them as anime.
Yeah,
mean,
exactly.
yeah.
That's what I'm talking about, dude. Like,
The game you were looking at though, Matt, was it's called I'm gonna butcher this. Tachia, Chia. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, something like that. Chi. No, that's probably racist.
No.
No. It's at the very end it said it's inspired by New Caledonia.
Yes.
I don't know what that is. I'm guessing it's an island of some kind.
I would assume so. Yes.
I would assume so. But yeah, that's the game you were talking about.
you can pet a crab in it. It's awesome.
You can pet a crab.
You can turn into a crab.
You can be a tree. I don't think you can be a tree. I don't think that's false advertising.
I mean, you could be.
We'll see.
Something else that I was going to bring up whenever we were talking about the internet changing things, I think updates on everything. Updates suck, I think. I hate that your phone updates every other week. That sucks. I hate that updates slow your phone down. I don't like that. Remember, like, a time when you had your PS1, your PS2, you got a game, you put the game in, and you played it.
Yeah.
And that was it. Now, I get a game that I have never played before. I was like, oh, you know what? It's on sale at GameStop. I'm gonna go buy it, go put it in my PS4. And then you put it in, and now you got to wait for 2 hours for all the updates.
That's see, a lot of people are gonna just think of video games and technology for that. But here's another example in terms of movies. How many times has George Lucas updated the original trilogy of Star Wars?
But that was before the internet too. Like he updated that whenever it was released on
But he keeps
Blu-ray.
doing it. They added a new version onto Disney Plus.
Yeah. I was gonna bring that up. I have on my list here. Whenever I brought up updates, it wasn't just game updates. It also was things like streaming services like Disney when they got Simpsons, and they sort of edited out certain things that they thought were problematic.
They didn't do that. They just messed with the resolutions.
They messed with resolutions. Things were zoomed in. Things were zoomed out. Yeah.
Also, whenever they had to edit the coffee cup out of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that the internet kind of took a step back with that sort of thing because I don't like the idea that you need a day one update. I don't like the idea that things aren't made up to snuff. At least I understand things are not being perfect. I understand that. However, whenever a game comes out like Cyberpunk that is not playable, like Fallout 76, which is not playable, and then they're like, "Oh, we'll fix it in the next year or two," and it's like, "No, you shouldn't have released it."
I don't think it's a step back because I think there are also advantages to it.
There's definitely advantages, but I think that it allows people too much room for error.
But it also allows people room for improvement in just like, oh, here are some things that we would not have changed in the game. But fans are saying, hey, maybe you should tweak this thing because I think maybe there's too little time to input this like thing in a fighting game. Or you have a fighting game and certain characters are broken and you want your meta to be more like on an even playing field. Or you are Insomniac and you decide to continue adding free skins to the game for Spider-Man, like continuously. Like whenever they got the the Fox deal, after a little bit, they for free added two Fantastic Four themed suits for Spider-Man. Things like that are only possible with free updates. DLC, which whether you view DLC as good or bad because you have to pay for it, there is certainly DLC that is very, very good and worth the price. So I think it can be hit or miss, but I think it might be a bit much to say it's a step back. I just think it's something new that people are going to abuse, but other people are going to use it for good.
I think that updates are most at home in the games as a service model because like look at Destiny. There are so many like quality of life updates that it's received, mostly like over like the past year or two.
Yeah, definitely. They've done a whole lot more work on it in the last year since they left Blizzard.
But I get what you mean when it comes to like single player. Or like I'd say mostly like single player, smaller games. It seems sort of uh, it can just be a bit annoying to have to deal with updates when you're just playing it. You know.
There are some games that I just don't update. Like I for a long time was playing Bloodborne, and they kept on having updates every couple weeks, and I just stopped updating the game. You know how it'll ask, "Hey, do you want to update this game?" I'd be like, "No,"
Yeah,
and I just play. I don't play online anyway.
you won't get any online features.
I don't care. I don't pay for Plus, so what does it matter? So I just wouldn't update the game. And I know some of the updates they did were just like for speedrunners. There was one update where whenever you get to the forest, you can jump down to the Shadows of Yharnam. That was like one of the first updates they did, and it stopped you from being able to jump over a fence to get to that fight faster. And I don't really care if I have that. I don't care if that glitch, quote unquote glitch, is there because I'm not going to use it. I'm
Right.
playing the game legit, you know?
It's not hurting you in any way.
So I think that some of those updates are completely useless. Some of them might actually fix things. Maybe, hey, the game is not super stable, and this update's gonna fix it. But I don't really care. Sometimes I'm just like the game didn't break for me yet, and then if it does break, I'll get mad. But since it hasn't, I'm mad that you're trying to update it.
I think that's just a you thing.
And it probably is. I don't
I
like
mean,
it. Though.
I get where you're coming from. I don't like my actions don't support it, but I get the feeling that you're talking about. Um, but also with you brought up speedrunners. I think that's a whole other another weird thing is how much of like I talked about the fan base being like, you know, a unit of people trying to achieve something. And there's an interesting thing that happens when it's sort of less of like the creators are making something for the fans as a whole to get into versus the fans as a whole trying to break the shit out of your game or deconstruct the shit out of your movie or whatever.
Speed
Like
runners, challenge runners.
yeah, in fighting games, if there can be like anytime you release a character, people will search for a broken god combo. I mean, it happens in like TTRPGs where like if you make a system that can be in any way competitive, they will try to break the system.
Do you remember back whenever Smash Ultimate first came out and Luigi had
Yeah,
a zero to
yeah.
death combo?
That is insane. Dragon Ball Fighters keeps coming out with characters that are gods, and like they have to get nerfed afterward. Which I mean, I get
What is
it.
it
Like
like
they,
like Broly or whatever his name, the one with green hair? Like they had like a whole thing for, and apparently he came out he was busted.
Broly Broly was busted as hell. They've kind of nerfed him, but I mean, he's Broly, so he's kind of one of those people that has to be strong. The same
Every
with like,
single time Smash Ultimate comes out with a character, that character is busted in some form or fashion. I
yeah,
still remember how mad people were whenever the hero from Dragon Quest came out
oh
because he
my
has the
god,
RNG stuff that he can just like
Jesus.
make the entire screen explode.
And they gave him crits and everything. It was just like of course they just wanted how you how are you not going to buy this character? It's the best character in the game. Come buy this character.
That's pay to win. That's not good.
It's a fighting game, and it is what it is. You can
It's-
still beat those characters, honestly.
yeah. It's pay to like have an advantage.
If you know how to play the game, you can still beat those characters, and they nerf them eventually anyway.
I think going back to the original topic, getting out of fighting Brolys and whatever.
I mean, I still had something regarding that.
oh, go ahead.
I'm talking about the way that the fans will use that to like the amount of what a developer can get away with has been decreased because of the internet.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that not even talking about fighting games that I was super invested in was a lot of the challenge runs that people were doing for Super Mario Odyssey whenever it came out. That's what sold me on the game, why I bought it. I'm not typically a Mario fan. I bought Super Mario Odyssey because I saw how fun it was based off of the challenge ones, whether it be speed running. I don't think there's been a speed running community that built up as quickly out of nowhere as Super Mario Odyssey. Everyone was trying to do speedruns for that game,
Yeah.
including YouTubers who have never done a speedrun before. And then there were the runs where the game does not register a jump unless you press the jump button. But if you throw Cappy and run to Cappy, you'll jump. So people did no jump runs where you would only use Cappy as a jump and you would never jump on your own ever. They tried to beat the game that way, and people did. And it was one of the coolest things ever where you just manipulate the game to do a challenge run so you can beat it. Stuff like that, or like I constantly see videos from a specific YouTuber who's I can't remember his channel is, but it's constantly can you beat Fallout or can you beat Skyrim only using X or without using X.
You can beat Mario without picking up a coin.
Yeah,
Can you beat Sly Cooper 1 without picking up a coin?
it's like stuff like that that just builds the community, and it's just fun stuff that people love to do. It's so enjoyable, and it's like finding new ways to play a game, and I think that just adds replayability to the game because it's like you beat Super Mario Odyssey once. If you're not super hardcore into the idea of playing the game again and getting them in different ways, you're not going to play it again. But if you're like, oh, what if I play the game but I never jump? Oh, what if I play the game but I never collect a coin? Oh, what if I play the game but I like put this limiter on myself? And not everyone's going to like that sort of thing, but the ability to do so is awesome.
I think it's funny because you and I are talking about the same thing, but from like different sides of it. Because you're talking about like it getting you to be replayability, a different way to look at the game. I'm thinking of like the speed runs and everything as like because of the internet, the competitive people, the competitive gamers are now competing on a global scale at any point. I want to be the first to do something, the first person to beat Breath of the Wild with just a mop and no armor on.
Yeah, I remember I was
Is
watching
there a
whole-
mop in that game?
Yeah,
Yeah, there is.
Oh, wow.
or it's like a broom thing.
Yeah, I remember I was watching a bunch of stuff from SDCC, and there was a speed run for Fallout 4 3 months after Fallout 4 came out, and the guy was talking about how they wanted to get Fallout 4 in I said SDCC. I didn't mean that. I meant whatever the ADT or whatever, like Awesome Games Done Quick or whatever, like the actual like thing that they use to raise money. They wanted to get it into that
GDQ.
into that like thing. So they tried as fast as they could to figure out how to break the game. And looking at that speed run, I was like, how did anyone figure out this stuff in 3 months? It's you grab like a barrel in Vault 101 and you lift yourself up, you go out of the map, you leave. They found out that if you do a certain thing with the Pip-Boy, you can launch yourself really quickly and be super fast, and that's how you get to the glowing sea. And
Yeah, that's like what they do with Fallout New Vegas. I saw a speedrun where what they do is glitch with reloading, where when you reload a revolver, and then you like save, quit in the middle of the reload, like quick save, quick load, you launch yourself forward at like Mach 10, and it's great. I don't know how you would ever figure that out, though. I mean, maybe someone accidentally was reloading. Oh, hold on, I messed something up. Quick save, quick load, and then launch themselves. And you're like, oh, I discovered something amazing. It's like, so maybe somebody did it organically, but I feel like there's people.
and
that are
how
going
would they
crazy
be
with that.
able to tell people if the internet didn't exist?
Yeah, exactly. You're able to find all those, tricks, the cheats.
Post it on Reddit, and then all the like even if you're not a speedrunner, you're just like, hey, I found this thing randomly, and then speedrunner's like, oh,
You want to talk
Mine-
about, how did they figure this out? Or, how did, it took, knowledge passed down from the people who learned it first. Destiny 2 raids. I know I keep talking about Destiny 2, but that's just, the biggest example I can pull from right now. Raids in Destiny 2, anytime a new raid is released, there's like this rush from like the top clans to try to get it finished.
Yeah,
first.
getting the first runs.
The Last Wish raid, I think it was like there were a bunch of clans that tried to do it. Only 2 got it in within the 24-hour mark, just to be, the ones to get it in within the first 24 hours of it being launched. There was another clan that like was 2 minutes too late, and things like that. Like we played raids before. To go in blind into a raid, figure everything out, that'll take you about 24 hours. Especially like with the larger ones, it's insane how much like clearly the devs for Destiny realize that they can make it as difficult and as obscure as as possible because they know what they're dealing with now. I feel like I didn't play like the first raid in Destiny 1, but I'm guessing that it was a bit more simple and straightforward than what we have now because they know our fan base will figure anything out and then they'll just pass it down. Like it's insane to me how detailed everything has to be in some of these raids.
I mean, those types of games uh like MOBAs and MMOs are built off of communities. I don't think games like that would be able to exist. Like, imagine WoW in a world where video game communities, like you can't have a community like that.
Well, that's a big thing. Like even going back to what Matt was talking about with the Destiny raids, that I have a natural dislike of anything that requires me to look it up outside the game that I myself cannot figure out by myself. And I think that's kind of a holdover from the games I used to play because I didn't play online games until I was like, what, 16, 17? I never touched online. Like I had Modern Warfare 2, and I never played online. The only multiplayer I had was local co-op with my sisters. That was all I would play. So I never played online, and anything that I couldn't figure out for myself, I got upset with. I was like, this is obviously a problem with the game, thinking that its player base is too smart. Or something stupid like that. Every game I ever played, I could figure out. But then I started playing online games, and especially Destiny 2. There are things in that game that they want the community to come together to figure out, put it on the internet, and then people who play solo can look up how to fix this thing, how to solve this problem. I don't like that personally, but I see the value in it. I hate that. I want to be able to figure out for myself, but they don't intend for any one person to be able to figure it out.
Or even things that aren't in gameplay. I mean, you had CD Projekt Red in their marketing for Cyberpunk had like a code that people had to figure out, and it'd lead you to a website, and that website had stuff, and it had a code, and then you went to another, like stuff like that, where they play with the community and present a mystery that hasn't, like, maybe it'll have like tie into the game, but it's not in the game. It's just, hey, fandom, have fun.
Five Nights at Freddy's.
Five Nights at
You know,
Freddy's does
let's
that all
take
the
the
time.
image, brighten it. Look at the actual
Enhance.
enhance. You know,
Enhance. Enhance.
what's the
Like didn't
information
Scott,
of the website?
like whenever he was still working on like the early games, like 1 through 4, didn't Scott Cawthon like hide references to future games in the code to his website?
Yeah, absolutely. There's I don't it might still be up right now because it's a like Easter egg for security breach, but there's a conversation. I think he's put the entire conversation in like the I forget what it's called, like the information of the website, the code of the website. The entire conversation is there now, but before it used to be just a conversation between, like, you'd have to go to one website and you could see one side of the conversation. And then if you went to another website and you looked at its code, you would see the other half of the conversation.
Man, is bonkers.
That's too much for me.
He just slowly, but that's where I draw the line.
Yeah, I'm not doing all that. I want everything to be self-contained in one place. Like I like games like that. I like games that are like discover this thing, figure this out. I like mysteries and stuff like that. But it all has to be in the confines of what I am engaging with. If it's in a book, it all has to be in this one book. If it's a game, it all has to be in the confines of this one game.
I don't know, but I understand where you're coming from, but I feel like growing a community and something like that, there's just something special to
There
something
is,
like
but
that.
I look to play solo games a lot of times. Even like Destiny, I play mostly solo because of my fire team's always at work or something.
I mean, I do the same, but I still like if it's like you were talking about earlier, where it's in the game, you have to do something like that. That's a different thing entirely. But if it's outside of the game, like you have to do this stuff outside of the confines of the game to find out like secrets or teasers for the upcoming game. I love that stuff. I'm not a person who's personally going to go through that because I don't feel I have the capacity to do so. But
Yeah.
seeing that, that I am part of a community that is willing to do something like that.
Watching the
even,
MatPat video.
yeah, or even like in Five Nights at Freddy's, I was never really a like big fan of FNAF. I just was interested in the like lore of it all. I never played any single one of those games ever. But the fact that like seeing that there was such a passionate fan base that really cared, that really loved the things that they were seeing and willing to do things like that, it it makes something feel more special even if you're not a part of it. I mean, it just it makes it feel different than just oh, it makes it feel like more than a game. Honestly, it makes it feel like it's something greater.
Yeah, it's a whole experience at that point.
I I kind of wanted to go back to something we were catching on earlier, which was streaming. I actually wrote a bit about streaming services with Netflix and all that, and I think there's something to be said about how a lot of media is going in the direction of streaming. You know, not only shows like on Netflix or Amazon Prime, but also games are trying to go that direction as well. And so I think that
With like a Xbox's thing.
yeah. I mean, Xbox, PlayStation Now was always streaming. Netflix is
Play-
even adding gaming to their streaming thing.
PlayStation Now isn't good.
Yeah, but you know,
Game
it's
Pass is
something.
though.
It's something that they're trying. So I think that's something that needs to be addressed if we're going to talk about the internet. Is that if the internet's going to become a big thing and it's going to be from coast to coast and everyone's going to have gigabyte download speeds, stuff like that, then streaming is going to be the way to do it. I know a lot of people were hesitant whenever like Steam came out and buying games on Steam because you don't own the game, you don't own the physical copy of the game, and people still have problems with that. I personally have gotten over it. I used to have a problem with it, but sort of just accepted this is our fate. And I feel the same way when it comes to movies and shows and stuff like that. A lot of the shows I watched on a streaming service. I will never be able to, have them to watch in the future unless I pay for that service again. There are movies that, like, even whenever you buy those movies on Disney Plus, you don't really own the movie. It's on a server somewhere. You can't put that in your DVD player not connected to the internet, You have to be on the internet at all times. I think that's the direction we're going. Now, whether that's good or bad, that's up for debate. But I think that is where we are heading with the internet being so prevalent.
I think there's layers to the issue because the reason Netflix and things like Netflix and Hulu as like the two the two that did it first and kind of like got super popular about it, uh those were those people fell in love with those because it's like, oh, I can have access to all these different shows and all these different movies, and it's cheaper than getting cable, because I only need the one. Now it's kind of different because you have so many
Now it is
different
cable.
ones. You like Peacock is free, but that's about it. You still have to pay for Hulu, you still have to pay for Netflix, you still have to pay for HBO Max, you have to pay for Paramount Plus, you still have to pay for Disney Plus if I didn't say that already because there's so many. I don't even know if I'm repeating them now. But
Yeah, I think it was convenient
Amazon,
whenever it was only Netflix. And now that everybody's going that direction and making their own and splitting their properties up only on their own services, it is becoming cable again. Because before you had to pay for HBO, you had to pay for Stars, you had to pay for Cinemax. Now, well, Cinemax is on what, Hulu or something like that? HBO. You have to pay a separate fee for Cinemax.
that being said, I still think in the grand scheme of things, we are getting much better content than we would have otherwise. They're having higher production value for the things they create because more people are getting those streaming services than ever bought cable. They are able to have higher quality shows. They're able to have higher quality films, even if most of the time the writing's not high quality. But the like the actual like production value of the show is very good. I think things like that are a net positive. Plus, if I want to watch like for example, the only thing I really care about on Netflix right now is Stranger Things. I can get Netflix the month Stranger Things comes out, watch Stranger Things season 4 and drop it. The only thing I need really is HBO Max, Disney Plus, and sometimes Amazon.
Well, that's exactly what I was thinking about was that no matter what, I think it's better because you were in sort of a contract with your cable company. You couldn't just take away cable for 5, 6, 7, hell, a year.
Yeah, you couldn't just opt out.
You couldn't opt out. Right now, you can, and I think that's a big thing. However, I believe personally, because it keeps on getting more and more predatory, I think we're going to get to the point where it's going to be contracts, where Disney's going to say, I mean, already don't they have the 2-year contract that was, oh, it's cheaper per month, but you pay for 2 years?
I think that was only when it started out.
Yeah, I understand that, but I mean, why wouldn't companies do that now more? Why wouldn't Netflix be like, oh, you have to pay, what is it, $11.99
Don't
right now?
ask why wouldn't, because then they will.
Oh, they're already thinking
They
about
already
it, I'm
do,
sure.
don't
This
they?
isn't me speaking it into the world. This is me telling you what the CEOs are thinking.
But I don't think they will, because ultimately I think if stuff like that happens, people will get it less. Like I said, I think right now there are only a handful of streaming services I think that have constant good content. In fact, right now I can only really think of Disney Plus. Disney Plus has constant good things that they are putting out. If you care about Star Wars and Marvel, you need Disney Plus almost every single month of the year. You don't need Netflix every single month of the year. You don't need Hulu every single month of the year. You don't need HBO Max every single month of the year, though HBO Max is getting a lot better content constantly, so I think it'll be able to compete. I think I think that's not going to happen because the second a company like Netflix or Hulu or Paramount Plus tries to put in a contract, people just won't get it because then they'll be like, okay, this is costing me more money. This is something that I actually care about if I forget and it renews itself. I'm not going to get it. So I feel out of fear of that. And because Netflix and Hulu and a lot of those things don't really seem to be upping their game in terms of the things that they put out, I think it won't happen because it'll shoot them in the foot because they don't have the content for that. Disney might, and I think Disney would be successful because like I said, I think Disney has a constant stream of quality content, but I don't think the others do.
I think if Disney were to, if any of them were to do it, they could get away with it as long as they keep the options that are available and just make that, oh, I'm buying it for 2 years. That's just an option you can opt into. Because otherwise, there are too many shows out there, too many other streaming services for you to really put down your foot unless you're at the top of the game. Although I do think it's kind of a problem how many different streaming services there are because companies keep branching off and then it's like, oh, I'm watching the show on Netflix or something, and it's like, okay, well that got taken to another streaming service because the company that originally owned it
That
made its own streaming
that
service.
is where it gets frustrating whenever things start leaving streaming services.
I had Amazon Prime for a month just to watch Doctor Who. I got it in December, like middle December last year. And guess what happened? Come January 1st, it got moved to HBO. I was pissed because it was the only reason that I got Amazon Prime.
To be fair, if it was that close, you
To be
probably could have
fair.
looked it up
And
then.
the thing was, I could have. I didn't think though. Hey, you know
I mean,
what?
anytime we're thinking of any show, you just look up what's it on. What can I watch it on right
Exactly. I was like, oh, it's on Amazon Prime. Cool. I'm gonna watch it on Amazon Prime. And then 2 weeks later, no, fuck you.
now?
Yeah, it is a bit unfortunate because, like, for example, I feel like once they start putting out more content, Avatar related, I think I am gonna want to get Paramount Plus specifically for that because that's all I really care about. I heard that the iCarly reboot's actually decent, but I don't care about it enough to watch it. I heard the same about the Rugrats reboot. Still don't care enough to watch it. Avatar is what would sell me on Paramount Plus, and that's
Yeah.
it's gonna
That's
be
gonna get a lot of people. Yeah.
yeah, like it is a bit of a bummer because that's more money, but if they're not like Disney Plus and it's only okay, you get like 1, 2 releases a year, I'll only get it for the month. I think that's the way we're going, where these companies are going to have to start boosting their productions, making higher quality things for people to be able to watch them. And ultimately, even though it'll kick us right in the paycheck, I think even though it'll kick us like right in the paycheck, I 100% think that's a net positive because we will be getting better content.
And better content's all we want.
Yeah, if you have better content, I don't care if I have to pay for an extra streaming service. Now, if your streaming service is $30, that's one thing. But if you have better content, I don't mind paying for an extra one because it'll be worth it.
I think we're gonna get to that point though, is that it's going up to $30. Like Netflix has raised their prices what, twice, 3 times?
Yeah.
And so it might get to that point eventually, come 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line. If they don't do the contract thing, they might raise their prices to $30 and then say, hey, get a contract for a year or two and you'll still be able to pay $11.99.
I think the only thing that they could use to balance that off is better account sharing. Even more like you can share your account even more. because that's how
They already
most
don't
of my
want you to do
streaming
that.
service is happening.
And yet people do it anyway.
Yeah, they don't like it, but people are gonna do it.
Yeah.
There's no way to prevent it.
There is. They just don't want to do that much of a predatory thing. Like DRM.
Antagonize the fan base too much.
Yeah, they could have a sort of thing where it's like, oh, you can only be signed in to 3 accounts at a time.
You can only be on certain devices.
Yeah, you have set up this TV, this phone, and this computer to have this account, and that's it. That's it.
But actually, they do
what
kind
I'm
of
trying to say is that
want.
there's no way to police it without affecting the general public, because then that affects them. Because then it's like, oh, I want to watch Netflix while I'm on vacation. You can't do that anymore.
I mean, from what I've seen, they're fine with, and I don't mean like account sharing as in like password and stuff, but well, I mean, I guess it is username and password. But like my family, I'm on my family's. I have the same Netflix as my family. Like my mom buys the Netflix, and so you're able to have different accounts on the same subscription, things like that. If you're gonna make a contract, let us have even more accounts on that.
Yeah, I know, like, specifically my girlfriend uses all of my streaming service stuff. Like, even whenever she was gonna show her family Hamilton, they watched it on my family's Disney Plus account because they don't
Nice.
have Disney Plus. I think they got it later to watch Mandalorian because she wasn't around, but they used ours because we had it. Also, they tried to watch like Raya and the Last Dragon, but we were watching something at the same time and they didn't want to mess with it, even though it wouldn't have an effect. But like I think that is also the way to get around stuff like that. It's just like, okay, one person gets it and then we all get it.
Yeah.
If they made it more expensive, I think that would be okay. I'd be okay with that. However, I don't think they would be so consumer friendly is the problem.
We'll see if we get to that point, but as it is right now, I think we're fine.
You never really know with companies, but that'll be it for our podcast today, friends. We'd like to thank you for tuning in. We can get any last statements from my fellows here. Actually, you know what? Instead, I'm going to ask you individually, Quentin. Can you tell me what's a good food that you'd recommend?
A good food? I don't know. Pizza's great.
Were you about to say I haven't eaten?
I haven't eaten in 3 years. What are you talking about?
Can't just say pizza because you know that's gonna be mine.
Which companies? Which pizza place?
I mean, I usually just make it myself. DiGiorno. I say make it myself. Frozen pizza, DiGiorno's. But if you gotta have a company, I mean,
DiGiorno's is a company that'll work.
okay, yeah, then DiGiorno's.
Stefano, what about you?
I don't know. He took mine.
Well, that's why you said companies.
Companies like, are we also doing like just like delivery and stuff?
Yeah, it works.
Papa John's.
Papa John's?
Papa
Damn it!
John's.
I'm going to
like,
second Stefano's Papa John's.
Usually I'm on like Domino's because Domino's has like the pan pizza and that's really really fucking good. But recently I've been on a Papa John's craze and my parents also got like a whole bunch of coupons for Papa John's. It's making it like super cheap. I got like a pizza for $1 the other day and I was like, hell yes.
Yeah, Papa John's is where it's at. But of course, yep. Thank you, mortals, for stopping by and listening to our podcast. You can follow us on Twitter. We're going to be getting an Instagram up soon and a TikTok as well for those of you who love TikTok. But thank you for watching. We'll catch you later. Bye.
See ya.